I've always been fascinated by the idea of game dev. The fact that you can think of anything you want and simply will it into existence is very bizarre to me. I've always wanted to make my own games, so follow me along as I document my own game dev journey. Starting right here. I planned out a simple platformer game I wanted to make using Milanote. The game is basically the same as Bracky's game dev tutorial that he made years ago. However, I was making my game in Unreal Engine 5, which I'm sure would provide its own pros and cons when making this game. I basically wanted a simple, movable cuboid that the player controls, and the player would have to avoid spikes and obstacles to make it to the end. It's a very simple and vague concept, but that's what I was going for, because it would make it easier to add new features in the future if I wanted to do so later on. So, I booted up Unreal Engine and quickly got to work. I wanted to make a simple prototype of the game, and then go from there. However, making a cube move was much harder than I originally thought. Okay, I think this is correct. Let's just play and see what happens. Nothing happens. But I eventually got it. Yes! Oh my goodness gracious me. Adding player movement wasn't that tricky, so I got that down pretty quickly. However, the movement physics itself are pretty janky, so I'll have to fix that later. Nevertheless, that was 2 things done. The next thing now was to actually make spikes that would kill the player. This was actually very tricky for me as I had trouble figuring out how exactly to trigger an event when the player and spike collide. Especially because in the blueprint editor, when you search up collision, you get this monstrosity. This was the code I ended up with, and it's 100% not how you're supposed to do it, but it works, and I'm happy. It also works when you collide with anything, but I'm sure that won't be a problem in the future. I then immediately abandoned that code because it was actually horrible. I then followed a tutorial by Gorka Games, which was very informative. It really helped me understand blueprints more, and I'll let past me explain it to you and how it works. Basically, so this is in the player blueprint. So when the player overlaps with the spikes, it will call death. And death simply just destroys the player itself, right? And then in case that the player is destroyed, it will get all actors of the class it will get blueprint spawn position. The spawn position is this. So instead of using the player start, we use the spawn position. It will get where this spawn position is, like its actual location in the world, which is right here, these things right here. And basically, it'll get the location of that and it'll make it into a transform value, which goes into the respawn system. We also get the game mode of keyboard game mode, so we know like what player we're getting, right? And then we call the respawn system, which is in here. And this respawn system, it'll play a sound when you die, and then it'll put a delay, and then it'll spawn the actor of the cube, so it'll spawn our cube player we have here, and then it'll make sure that we can possess and control our character. So if you have all that together, it looks like this. So you have this game here, and then you can simply, if you end up dying, it plays a sound, 1.2 second delay, and then it will respawn. And if you notice on the right hand side, it says cube player 2. If I die, it will delete and make cube player 3. So that is proof that it's working. It's making a new controller every single time. Every time you die, it'll make a new controller. And there you go. That's enough yapping from me. I have a few things left to do. I have to make a main menu, I have to make multiple levels, and I have to make proper working GUI that lets the player switch from level to level. And I also got to make this game look good, because it kind of looks like a 3-year-old made it right now. So let's get to work.